The way that Hollywood works is for every 12th project that you put your heart and soul into, one of them will get made. Beneath the Light just so happens to be one of those just charmed projects where everything felt meant to be.
Welcome to episode 74 of the LoraineCounty.com Insights Podcast. I'm your host, Ed Skimmon. Let's begin by acknowledging LoraineCounty.com champion sponsors: Emerge Inc., Lorain County JVS, Lorain County Community College, WOBL Radio, Lorain County Commissioners, and Community Foundation of Lorain County. This is part one of my conversation with John Baumgartner, writer and director of the feature-length movie Beneath the Light. Join us as John talks about his career in Los Angeles and his return to Lorain, Ohio to create his latest film, a psychological supernatural thriller set in the iconic Lorain Lighthouse. He also shares how the film highlights the beauty of Lorain, the support he received from the community, and the potential for the city to shine as a hub for filmmaking. I've known John nearly my entire life. We went to school together from elementary through high school, and even spent summers together at theater camp at the Lorraine Palace Theater. From a young age, his talent was unmistakable. In the early 80s, long before smartphones or YouTube, John was already creating films with special effects that felt like pure magic. It has been exciting to watch his career unfold in Hollywood, and I've always admired his drive to follow his dream and passion. It is also great to see him bring his talent and vision back to our hometown of Lorain. Here is part one of my conversation with John Baumgartner.
Hi, I'm John Baumgartner. I am a Lorain native. I am a film director and a TV director. Been in LA for 27 years, spending more and more time here in Lorain now. And I wrote and co-wrote and directed the film Beneath the Light, which was shot entirely in Lorain and is premiering this September 6th at the Palace. And I hope to make more films here in Lorain and in between when I'm going to LA to do work there.
Let's start with your latest project, Beneath the Light. Could you provide an overview of the film and share what kind of story and vision audiences can expect to see?
Beneath the Light is a psychological supernatural thriller. It takes place at the Lorain Lighthouse, the jewel of the port, and is about a young man played by Zach Tinker, who is an Emmy-nominated actor, phenomenal actor, the best I've worked with. But he comes to town because his mom passes away, and he is compelled for unknown reasons to take this job at the Lorain Lighthouse because this job listing has been posted by this older man, Murdoch, played by John Piper Ferguson, who is a veteran TV and film actor who you'd probably recognize. And he wants to sell this place because something very bad happened there, and it has bad mojo, and he's just trying to get rid of it since he bought it when the city was going to destroy it, tear it down. And he wants nothing to do with this place. And this young man comes to realize that his best friend when he was a child was this girl named Claire. But he has no memory of what happened to her, why they had this falling out, and it has something to do with something with the lighthouse because he loved that place. Turns out that was the daughter of the man who owns the lighthouse, but he will have nothing to do with the topic. He does not want to talk about it. In fact, he wants nothing to do with the lighthouse, so he abandoned this young man there to fix it up, paint it so he can just sell it. The girl starts to terrorize him. By the girl, I mean the ghost of the girl. And it starts to unsurface these memories that he had, these kind of disturbing memories of the past. And the whole film is ultimately a mystery about what happened, what's his connection to this man, to this girl, and the lighthouse. And it's a really unique way for the lighthouse, for Lorain's Lighthouse to be presented. And ultimately, it's a mystery with a good heart at the end. It's a story of redemption.
Why did you choose to center Beneath the Light around the Lorain Lighthouse and your hometown? What does it mean to you to film in Lorain?
I knew when I was 9 years old that I was a film director. It was like a recognition. I was like, okay, that's done. That's what I wanted to do. And so there hasn't been a moment since that time that I haven't been making films, including when I was 15 filming Panes of a Broken Window at your house. I burned one of your doors with one of my lights. I was 15. What did I know? But anyway, I've always been working on a film project. And therefore, also as a kid, growing up in Lorain on my bicycle, I had these just romantic visions of all the things I could film here. Growing up, my dad was a big film person, meaning he loved films. And he took me to films from an early age, even films that I shouldn't have been going to. I remember seeing Close Encounters of the Third Kind when I was like 8 and being like terrified. But I had this catalog in my head of these beautiful locations all around Lorain, or places I thought were cool or cinematic. Bob DeFilippo and Jim McConaughey and I were part of FBU films filmed by us, which we made when we were like 9 or 10. We always wanted to do our version of like War Games or Raiders of the Lost Ark, or the Thriller music video. When I was in LA, where I've been for a long time working in film and TV, I would write my features and they always took place in Lorain. It's because I had this catalog of places that I thought were untapped were extremely cinematic. And I have to say, there's something incredibly comforting about filming in Lorraine for me. It feels like my home. I have so much support from my roots. I guess I just always wanted to film a picture here. When the opportunity came, because COVID hit and the musical chairs of COVID sat me down in Lorraine, and I was taking care of my mom who had dementia. And I was like, well, clearly I'm going to be here for who knows how long. So why don't I write a movie in Lorraine, just because I keep coming back to it? And I said, well, what's at my disposal? What are the cool things? Well, the palace is amazing. The Lake Erie is amazing. The quarries in Amherst, the forests, the metro parks. And I was like, holy smokes, the lighthouse. It is, as the crow flies, 1 block from where I grew up. I said, I want to make something in the lighthouse. So I reached out to the lighthouse, and Ron Mantini, who was the president of the board, took my call. Said, hey, I make movies. I'm writing it. He's like, let me stop you. I knew your dad. And I was like, I love being back home. And I said, can I make this movie there? He goes, absolutely. It would be good for both of us. It was a no-brainer because I was going to get the support. I was going to get the comfort. I was going to get the locations. I could work out of my house. I could have the crew stay with me. A lot of the crew that came in from LA, even though it was a big amount of Cleveland people too, because there's a wonderful crew in Cleveland. Those were all the things that were made it a no-brainer for me to film in Lorraine.
In addition to entertaining audiences, in what ways do you hope the project will shine a spotlight on Lorraine and benefit the area?
Lorraine is beautifully cinematic in Lorain County. And I mean that sincerely. I show this film to people in the UK, in Los Angeles, in Canada. They've seen this film and they are really impressed with the location. When we had 3 offers from distributors out of LA, and all of them said the production value of that location is out of this world. And we knew that. That's why we wanted to do it. And it's easy to discount that when it's in your backyard your whole life, right? But because I was a 9-year-old going, wow, that is cinematic. That is so cool. I knew, obviously, what it would look like. And it's no secret that place is incredibly gorgeous. It's the most photographed place in Lorain County. So obviously, it's great for the Lorain Lighthouse. It shines a light and reminds people of what an asset and beautiful icon that is. I hope that we can screen the movie there. Maybe that could be an annual thing because they do their tours and their dinners. Wouldn't that be amazing? I also have this idea that'd be wonderful to show to the Black River Landing I shot from the lighthouse. That'd be really cool because the film turned out beautifully and it really showcases Lorraine, and not just the lighthouse, but Broadway, our entertainment district, the neighborhoods. It's a very Lorraine movie. In fact, Anna Nicole Chavez, she's one of the 3 actors in the film that came from Los Angeles. A professional actor, incredible, came through our LA casting director. People watch this and they're like, is she from Lorraine? And so she really loved the idea. She goes, Lorraine girl. And she embodies that so beautifully. And that's another thing, just the culture of Lorraine, that we tried to embrace the authenticity of the international city that we are, that we grew up in, that we loved. It's a mix. There are people, I think, like me and you, who grew up here, who really see the potential and love the energy of it. And then there's people from out of town who are like the crew. I met a woman today who moved here like a year ago, and they're like, this is amazing. The crew were like, what is this place? The lake, the land, the natural beauty, the potential, the fact that we could take the 2nd floor of the Uniontown Provisions building. I would never in a million years be able to afford that in Los Angeles, but I was buddies with them. They basically donated the use of it because they're like, yeah, let's make a movie in Lorraine. We turned that into our interior sets, our production offices, our dressing rooms for the cast, our makeup and hair. We had this beautiful complex, our big, quote unquote, cafeteria for the crew and everything like that. And could never have afforded that. And as Lorraine tries to rediscover its ID post-industrial, the arts are a big thing at the front of the line to what it can be. And so you get people who come from a life in a big city and come back because there's opportunity here, like the Firefish Festival, how that can exist in the areas that have become available in this depressed economy, or at least repressed economy. And that had made Lorraine very exciting for filmmakers, for artists, etc. What I hope is it shows that this is a beautiful place that can support, because the other part of it, in addition to the cinematic beauty of Lorraine, is the support of the city. And I don't just mean the government, which was incredibly supportive. Jack Bradley's office, the police department, the fire department, the Coast Guard were all just like fantastically, so much so that we had Los Angeles crew, a producer come in and was like, I don't think we can do that. It's going to take, no. We pick up the phone. It gets done. Because holy smokes, we're making a movie here. You know what I mean? And we're doing it with the right reasons, the right intentions. The community was so excited to this day with the screening that's coming up. But we made an Amazon wish list that sold out. It was all the essentials we needed to make the movie. This room was filled with boxes. It brought tears to my eyes. We put this APB, we need this prop or we need this thing. One example was we needed rusty tools to be on this abandoned like tool bench in the basement of the lighthouse. Go out to my porch. There is like rusty tools all over my porch that people just would drop off. So the city was just a constant support and morale. Again, goes back to that comfort of being here. And I tell the story too, when the trailer came out, I was walking from Magdalene's Coffee, thank God for Magdalene's Coffee, walking down to Uniontown offices the day that the trailer came out. It felt like I was Andy Griffith in Mayberry. I was stopped literally every 15 feet. It was a second Saturday. Stopped every 15 feet to someone to pat me on the back and say, "Oh my goodness, your trailer. We're so excited. Thank you for doing this." And I'm like, thank you for, the film wouldn't exist without this place. And so that was another thing that was beautiful. But I hope that we can make more films here because it's enriching to everybody. It's good for the economy. It brought money here. We put cast and crew up at the Ariel Hotel. All the catering was through the city, et cetera, et cetera. You know what I mean? So it's a win-win. And also, too, anything we can do to raise the profile of how beautiful and cool Lorraine is, that's what I hope it brings to the town.
Beneath the Light isn't just a film. You've created an online game, and I understand there's a novel in the works. What inspired you to extend the story in these formats, and how do the novel and game complement the movie?
The idea was if you go to beneaththelight.com, not only is it your portal to the film with the trailer and the behind-the-scenes stuff and eventually ways that you'll be able to access and rent the film, but also we wanted to have ancillary things that would cross-promote each other. As we know, with all the streaming sites and everything like that, the landscape of entertainment is clogged. There's a lot of static. So to stand out, you can't just have a film. And this is becoming more and more understood. Early on, I was like, I need to do other things. Vanessa Knipper and I were always playing those Hunt a Killer games. We loved those mystery games. And I was like, wow, this is tailor-made. This world, the lighthouse, Lorraine. So we made an online, content-rich mystery game that is in the world of the film, but takes place before and after the film. So it takes place in present day, and then it takes place in the 60s. And they're both tied together with a different mystery than the mystery of the film. I also thought it's a no-brainer. We should do a novelization because people love novels. And I was like, I don't have the bandwidth, nor do I think I have the talent at the moment to write a novel. And so I reached out to Cindy Sang. And Cindy Sang was a collaborator with me in the last 10, 15 years. She's a psychiatrist for the Cleveland Clinic. While producing the movie, was founding the adult ADHD clinic of the clinic, department of the Cleveland Clinic. So the crazy thing is, like 15 years ago, she reached out to Skip Engel's mom because they were our scout leaders. You and I were in scouts together.
Yep.
And so when Cindy said, as a psychiatrist, I get frustrated that I watch television and film and the character arcs don't make psychological sense. And as a psychiatrist with 30 years of treating people, I feel like I have an understanding of psychology. Could I be a consultant to TV and film? So she told that to Karen. She goes, I know someone who's in film. He was in my Cub Scouts or Boy Scouts. So we were in touch then. And so that was 15 years ago. And when I wrote this story, Beneath the Light, I reached out to her and so we'd collaborated on a few scripts. The way that Hollywood works is for every 12th project that you put your heart and soul into it, one of them will get made. And so Beneath the Light just so happens to be one of those just charmed projects where everything felt meant to be. But anyway, when I had wrote that script, reached out to Ron Mantini and said, could we make this? The next person I called was Cindy. I said, Cindy, does this make psychological sense? This mystery, because it's tied up so much in the psychology of the lead character. And she was like, absolutely. Not only that, but how about this? And I was like, oh, I think we need to write this together. And I said, do you want to write the novel too? And she's like, absolutely. So she wrote the novel. And the idea is the novel comes out, the game comes out, and those cross-promote everything. You see the movie? Oh, I want to read the book. The book mentions there's a game. I'll play the game. It's a way for us to organically market to our audience. That was the idea of getting all these ancillary products together with the film, and they're all set in Lorraine.
You alluded to this already. How is the change in how people perceive these stories and movies like streaming services and TikTok and Instagram? How has that changed filmmaking in your career?
Social media, let alone AI, which we can get to in a moment, but social media and the streaming, the digital age is the next great epoch of the state of Hollywood and filmmaking. Well, a couple things. One is it's democratized the ability to make films, like, because you literally can shoot something with your iPhone. And the lowest hurdle to getting it out there is YouTube. You can put it out there, and certain projects that strike gold, and all of a sudden they've got 6 million views, and yay. Or Tubi is an example where it's a really low threshold to be able to get your film on there because they'll take any film and put it up there, and it's based on views. So it costs them nothing. The other thing, though, is it's created this environment where there's just so much content. Here's a true story of actors that I've come across in Los Angeles. You can star in a major Netflix show, and no one will have heard of you. Like someone who auditioned for my film, I'd like, wow. And I've never heard of it. I've not heard of the show. Wednesday is a show that's incredibly popular on Netflix. Two of the actors from that auditioned for this. Whereas we had 3 channels growing up. What do we have? 10,000 now? And all of them want content. Point being, though, is it's both good and it's bad. It's double-edged. You can make your stuff, you can get it out there, but you have got to try really hard to get it seen. And that was another reason that we created the book and the game. The other part that's happened is this is a thing that came out of COVID with Zoom calls. It diversified the locations that you can do any kind of business, right? And film was no exception. Ohio was really aggressive and continues to be so with its tax incentives. Canada just handed LA its butt over the last 20 years. There has been a constant flight of film production out of LA into Canada, then Atlanta, then Arizona, then North Carolina, and Ohio, as we see by like Superman and the Avenger movies and stuff like that. So me being in LA, it's, oh, this is not happening in LA anymore. And if it is, it's happening just as much everywhere else. And so that's why it was incredibly freeing to be like, you know what, I'll hang my shingle for these films in Lorraine. And we flew our talent here. We're really close to the Cleveland airport. I can catch a plane to LA if I need to. But we shot the film 100% in Lorraine. It was 100% edited in Lorraine. It was 100% sound designed and all that stuff in Lorraine. All the coloring I did in LA with Tashi Troy was a great connection I had, who is Jim Cameron's color corrector. So he's done all of Jim Cameron's movies. And then I went to Vancouver to do the mix through connections. We did a beautiful sound, full surround sound mix there, because those are the things that aren't in Lorraine, but also just a quick plane ride. And so I did as much as I could in Lorraine.
Let's talk about other technology. So you said 27 years in Hollywood. How has the technology changed in that time and changed how you make movies?
To the 27 years, or in the 30-some years when we were first making my first movie, Panes of a Broken Window, at your house, which we then premiered at the Palace Theater when I was 16. And that was shown on VHS in a projector that could make, at biggest, a low-resolution 6-foot by 6-foot image. Everyone was crowded to the front of the theater in that screening. So obviously things have changed, right? I remember 20-some years ago being in LA and talking to a friend, and he was incredulous that video technology would ever surpass film. I was like, no, you just have to extrapolate this. We're not going to be filming film in 20-some years, or if you do, you're an outlier. And digital technology is so sophisticated now. Again, our cell phones are so sophisticated now in terms of what they're able to capture. Like when we made Panes of a Broken Window when I was 16, like if I were to hand that kid this phone and say, look at what you can film, I would have just lost it. But now you film on video, and so the enormous cost of film is gone. That's incredibly liberating. And the flip side to that, and the scary side of that, is AI. People are trembling in the film industry. Like literally, car commercials no longer need to be filmed. The end. AI can make an absolutely convincing, gorgeous car commercial, and you would never know the difference. So something that costs like $1 million costs $5,000 now, or $10,000 now. That's a lot of people hitting unemployment. That's a lot of just opportunity that's gone. And the flip side of that, it's also liberating for someone like me as a writer-director. There was an Academy Award-winning film called Flow this past year. It was about a cat. It's an animated film. The story goes that that man made most of it in his bedroom on off-the-shelf laptops and software. So you could, in literally 5 years less, 2 years less, 1 year, you can tell AI, and more tools are arriving, to create a scene. It will make the actors and then use them consistently in your scenes. It will give them dialogue. It will act it with some massaging. It'll do dialogue. It'll do sound design. It'll do a score. in one shot, baked in.
Mm.
And we are now at the Wright brothers at Kitty Hawk in AI. So that's shocking. It went from so expensive, only huge studios and really enterprising indies could make films to, oh my God, everyone can make them, to soon like, oh, maybe no one can make them.
Do you see an era where I get a different ending than you get because the algorithm knows what I would appreciate in a movie different than what you would want as a conclusion?
Absolutely. Yeah. I think the future of some of this entertainment is that it will be tailored to the viewer on their tastes, on their desires, what they punch in, if they want their own face in the movie and voice in the movie. At some point, you could be like, oh, give me a 6th season of Brady Bunch. And you could have a 6th season of the Brady Bunch. It's staggering, let alone the existential, broader things of AI, which we don't have to get into, but it's either going to solve all our problems or just kill us.
Thank you for listening to the LorraineCounty.com Insights Podcast. Each episode, we share conversations with the people shaping life in Lorain County, from business and government to education, nonprofits, healthcare, and entertainment. Be sure to follow or subscribe on your favorite podcast platform so you never miss an episode. You can also visit LorraineCounty.com to discover local events, volunteer opportunities, and more community resources. If you know someone who's making a difference in Lorain County, send us a note at podcast@LorraineCounty.com. We would love to share their story and insights. Special thanks to our producer, Leah Gerke, and to you for listening. This has been the LorraineCounty.com Insights Podcast, conversations with the people shaping Lorain County.